So you're working from home, how's it going for you? Are you enjoying long, lazy coffees as you contemplate your next holiday, lying on a beach somewhere in between doing a few emails and dreaming of your next product? Or are you constantly under the pump, phone calls every 5 minutes, hundreds of emails every hour, Slack messages popping up every 30 seconds with no time to eat lunch, no time to even think about one of those long, lazy coffees your friends working at Facebook get to enjoy? Well, in this video today, I'm going to share some techniques to help you be a knockout success when it comes to remote working. So stick around and find out more about 10 remote working tips for product managers. Hey there, Rian Chapman from Awesome Product Manager. If you're like me, you found yourself in a totally different world since the COVID-19 pandemic hit the world. A lot of people's lives have been turned upside down. Some of it's tragic, people have lost their lives, and for some of us, particularly in product management, we've never been busier, especially those that are working in digital product management. Digital has been around for a long time, but investment in digital experiences has been patchy. If you work in the FANG, then it's a no-brainer. Digital is your product, and although FANG undoubtedly are leaders when it comes to big technology, it's easy to forget that the bulk of digital experiences and technology serving customers day in, day out can be found in thousands of technology and product companies that aren't part of the FANG. That's not to say I don't think working at one of the FANG is awesome, but keep your mind open to the equally amazing opportunities working in product management outside of the FANG too. So coming back to digital, investment has been patchy. It's fair to say the mindset that some executives have is very business case driven when it comes to digital. They expect to see tangible bottom line impacts, which is similar to project thinking. The thing is with digital, there's definite bottom line impacts. You can increase sales, you can increase retention, but digital is not always about that. It's about connecting with customers, engaging with them in radically new ways, and being able to estimate the immediate bottom line impact of this can be hard. It takes time to see the impact. And as any good product manager knows, you then iterate from your first drop to constantly create more value. So why am I mentioning this? Well, it comes back to what I was saying earlier. Investment in digital has been patchy, but now in a world heavily impacted by COVID-19 and challenging economic times, it means that digital has become the centerpiece for many organizations realizing that the world has accelerated its transition to a digital world. This has meant that for many of us, working remotely during this challenging period and beyond has become our new reality. I don't know about you, but I was nervous at first when everyone in my team started working remotely for a couple of reasons. Firstly, this was going to be the first time everyone would be doing this at the same time. So I was nervous about how we would communicate and collaborate remotely. Would everyone have access to the right tools? And would everyone's technology work, as we were now working remotely as a team operating at scale? Secondly, what was it going to mean for productivity? Would people get into the mindset that remote working meant less pressure to deliver and less expectations? Could things that were taking a sprint to deliver previously now take 2 sprints because people could use the excuse of not being as productive at home compared to being in the office? This meant for the first few weeks of our remote working experiment, it was tenuous. This was a brave new world we were all in as a team. Things didn't work. People got frustrated, people felt emotional. It was a massive transition, and the first few weeks were slow going. Things needed to be ironed out, and once we got through the immediate challenge of getting laptops, tools and technology working remotely, the next challenge was getting into a remote working cadence. This meant how we collaborated, how we communicated, and importantly, how we came together socially as a team too. Do you want to know the incredible part about this. It's that we've never been more productive as a team. Our velocity has never been better. People are loving their work and they're enjoying the newfound sense of work-life harmony. Creativity, innovation, energy, motivation, it's all up. It's like the start of a new era for us. So how did we do this? Number one, communication. It's one thing being in an office and wandering past someone's desk and having a 30-second conversation. But when you're remote working, the paradigm of communication changes dramatically. This requires a mindset shift. Sure, you can pick up the phone and call people or message someone on email, but you need to think it through. For one-on-one conversations, these methods make sense, but if you want informal chats, which I call over-the-partition chats, where someone listens in and joins the conversation if they have something to add, then you need to be thinking about creating inclusiveness and passive involvement. And these are best had via Slack or something similar like Microsoft Teams or Workplace. But the conversations shouldn't just be about those typical binary work conversations of questions and answers. You're in a whole new world now where the ability to engage with people at an empathetic level has changed. So how you take and continue those conversations online is important as well. Otherwise, we lose the human touch and the collaborative and social bonds that go with it all too. So being more mindful of engaging with people in a holistic way and not just talking about work has been important for us. One other thing that's made a big difference is video calls or meetups. Seeing people face to face can help account for the body language that's so hard to visualize through a Slack conversation. Finally, as a product manager, over-communicating is actually a good thing, so long as it's not intrusive or overbearing. This means checking in with people, even if it's a friendly conversation about how their weekend was, and so it's not work-related anymore. It takes away that possible reluctance that more introverted, shy folks in your product delivery team may have around contacting you. If they feel that you're still available to them, just like you were in the office, then it will keep the flow of conversation happening and will feel just natural. And talking about availability, my second tip is the fundamentals still apply. Just because you're a remote working product manager now doesn't mean that the fundamentals of what makes a good product manager changes. If you want to know my views on what makes for a good product manager, check out my video on the 8 signs you're a top product manager. I've included a link below in the description, and I'll also share a link at the end of this video. So one of those fundamentals is you still need to be available for your team. Oh man, someone's trying to ring me. What time is it? Hello? Hello? Rian Chapman? Jimbo, yeah. No, I wasn't busy. I was just sleeping. What time is it? 3 a.m. Yeah, what's up? Okay. With that user story, I wanted to make sure that if an error happens, we display the right message, the right error message to the user. You know, error code 3156, that's the one. You fixed it at 3 a.m.? You want me to test it now? All right, I'll go test it now. Just 5 more minutes sleep. I'm not talking about that kind of extreme availability, but you should be available during business hours. Make sure to check out my tip later in this video around keeping your work hours consistent. You also need to continue to show empathy to your workmates and your users. It's important to continually spend time understanding your users, looking at the market, looking at what users are doing and what competitors are doing too. None of this changes. And you also need to keep on top of your stress levels. Remote working is a new world. It takes time to adapt to it. Mistakes are going to happen. The expectations will be different. So you need to moderate your expectations of yourself early on until you find your feet again. My third tip is empowerment. One thing I've noticed which I'm loving from remote working is the people I work with are becoming empowered. If you want to find out why, then I've created a separate video on why remote working is a game changer, which there's a link below in the description and at the end of this video today. But in short, one thing I've seen which I'm actually really excited about is that folks around me are taking the opportunity and empowering themselves. They're not asking me to help them as much as before around the things they're working on. They're willing to take a risk, try out ideas, and if things don't work, come up with an alternative approach. They're still involving me in big things, which I really appreciate, but those micro level things that they'd be checking with me throughout the day previously when we worked in the office, they're learning to be better at and develop their own confidence and leadership skills in. The fourth tip I've got for you is harmony. Remote working gives you the golden opportunity to enjoy the best of both worlds. You're still working and expected to deliver, but you have this amazing opportunity to enjoy life at home too. This means instead of sitting down at your laptop at lunchtime, eating your multigrain sandwich while you work, you should instead do something for yourself. It can be getting outside and catching some sun, getting your vitamin D, or it could be taking your dogs out for a walk, or maybe spending time with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your spouse, or your partner, or your goldfish. Or maybe it's taking time for some meditation, yoga, or just contemplation. Or in my case, ringing your parents to see how they're going or playing with my dogs. The fifth tip I've got for you is keep it consistent. And this is an important one. Don't make the mistake because you're remote working to think that your hours need to transform into some kind of weird model where you work 9 to 5 p.m. and then you have these shadow work hours outside of that. I'm talking about eating your dinner and you hear your Slack or your email alert go off on your phone, so you check your work messages. Or you're watching a movie while you check the latest stats on your product release. Whatever you set your hours as, whether it's 8 to 6, 9 to 5, whatever it is, those are your hours and that's when you're available. Once 6 p.m. comes, you need to close that laptop, turn off your notifications and humanize. You've given your fair share of time and effort for the day and you have tomorrow to look forward to picking up where you left off. The work will be there for you still. When it comes to remote working, it doesn't mean you still don't do fun things together as a team. So my next tip is all about doubling down on socializing. When you're in an office, it's easy to head out for lunch with the team or other product managers or your boss. It's natural to head out for a few fruit smoothies or beers after work. In short, it's easy to find opportunities for fun and team building when you're in the office. But in a remote working context, this suddenly changes. You can't spontaneously tap your buddy and say, hey, let's go grab an overpriced vegan hamburger somewhere. But the importance and necessity of doing fun things with your colleagues doesn't disappear. Setting up regular, repeating times where you come together as a team, not to talk about work, but just to have fun is important. We're all humans. It could be team trivia, virtual games, Uber Eats lunches, virtual cooking classes, or comedy hours. Whatever it is, stick to a regular schedule and make sure everyone is getting along. My next tip is dealing with the little things early is super important. Don't expect that when you shift a big team of people to remote working that in one day you'll have a super productive group of people. You'll be disappointed if that's what you're expecting. Whether it's getting those gremlins ironed out with remote systems access, getting laptops connected to VPNs, organizing subscriptions to software, setting up virtual conferencing platforms, this all takes time. Fast following that will be getting a routine and cadence up and running. So focus on the little things step by step. Sort out each problem one at a time, and like climbing a mountain, if you put one foot in front of the other, you'll soon find yourself at the summit. The next tip is be agile and don't lose the techniques and skills that have made you successful so far. I work in an agile environment, and the commitment we have in this environment is continual reflection, learning, and growth. Mistakes are celebrated. It creates an opportunity to do better and creates resilience. I guarantee you, when you work from home, you and your team will make plenty of mistakes. But just because you're working from home doesn't mean the same frame of reference you'd use in the office shouldn't be applied to those mistakes, which is reflect on the mistake, understand how it happened, celebrate it, and find a way to learn from it as a team. Mistakes are stepping stones to success, and as a product manager, we need to be supporting our people and encouraging them even more in a world of remote working, given the potential for isolation and loneliness. Okay, my next tip is trust. When you're in the office, you can see and hear things around you. It gives you that opportunity to tap into the vibe, feel the mood, hear people when they're having conversations that you should get involved in. In the world of remote working, it can feel like you're on an island. As a product manager, you need to take a leap of faith. One, two, three. That wasn't so hard, but I think I just pulled a muscle. Oh. For some of us, this can be hard. We've always led from the front, been involved in just about everything, stepped in quickly to lend a hand. Now we've democratized the process. It now relies on you regularly checking in with your people, your colleagues, and your stakeholders, as well as being attentive in team meetings and ceremonies. But it also relies on something much bigger than regular check-ins and ceremonies. It relies on trust with a capital T. Remote working relies on the trust factor that people you're blessed to work with know how to do their job, they're self-motivated, and they get the product vision and roadmap. So it's important to have a clear product vision and roadmap and use that as a central reference point for those around you. But then you have to do something that can be hard for those who are used to being hands-on as product managers. You have to let go and get out of their way. And my last tip for today is remember to have your colleagues and your teams and your bosses back. Remote working for all of us is a new world, and things don't often run as smoothly as we'd like. Being realistic, accommodating, and kind doesn't cost much. You won't succeed by blaming or cancelling each other out. Instead, by showing empathy, you build the collaboration and drive in those around you to reach for the stars. As Confucius once said, "He who has secured the good of others has already secured his own." So there you have it, 10 tips on remote working for product managers. So are you remote working at the moment, and how's it going for you? What's worked for you so far? What's failed? What's succeeded? Let me know in the comments below. I'm interested to hear all about your thoughts, and I'll read them all. And remember to subscribe by clicking over there or down below. And if you like this video, or you're currently working remotely as a product person, then click on that like button just around about there. You'll make my day if you do it. As always, you're awesome. Keep being an awesome remote working product manager. And as they say in Portuguese, até logo. Catch you soon.